Hello everybody, what's happening? My name's Neil, welcome along to Midlife Motors, and today in this glorious bright sunshine you find me underneath a Volvo XC40. This car's been on the channel a couple of years ago now, where we did an initial drive and review, and I was keen to get the car back to see how it was going after being in use for a couple of years. The deal was I could have it for a couple of weeks if I fixed a few bits and bobs on it. Well, just putting things back together, once we got this bolt undone, everything clicked back in with quite a satisfying little click, if you like, into place. While the car's been at this height, it's been the perfect height to try and touch up the bumper where it's been scuffed. I used the car plan black trim wax. This stuff's really good, so if you want to add that to your collection, I'd recommend it. It's only about £6 or £7. Next day, and we're back, and we're going to now try and correct the damage to the paintwork here. I mean, there's one bad bit where clearly paint is missing, so the polisher, we're going to use the dual action polisher, is not going to be able to replace paint, but we're going to do the rest of it. I'm not going to bore you with the whole process. I think we'll do a separate video on that, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But for the purpose of today, shush dog, when I do this, hopefully, shush. And there, here we go, job done. It's all buffed up, there's no scratches left. Okay, we've got one bit where we knew there was some paint missing, but to be honest with you, it just looks like the car has got a bad stone chip. We might try and touch that up with a touch-up pen one day, but for now, that job's done. Next. Repairs done. We're taking the car for a little bit of a drive now, because it's good to catch up with it after a few years, and we want to have a look, see how it's aged. Now, there's 4 things I've noticed. I've used the car a bit that I don't like about the car. Number 1, it's got a really poor turning circle. I'd expect it to be much better, particularly as it's not a particularly big car. Number 2, I don't like the cruise control. This might be my fault, but I only seem to be able to make it go up and down in 5-mile-an-hour increments. I don't like that. Number 3, I don't like having to get into a menu to get onto this screen to adjust the heating. I don't like that in any car, and a lot of them are going that way, so that's bad. And number 4, I don't like the drive modes. Now, here we go, here's the drive modes. Now, it's got eco, but I've never been in a car that's got a good eco mode, so I never use that. We're in comfort just now, and it's perfect in comfort. We'll come back to that. But if we put it into dynamic mode, the car drives really badly in dynamic mode. The throttle response doesn't become particularly sharp. It doesn't kick down particularly any quicker. It gets a bit noisier. The suspension doesn't seem to do anything other than get bouncier. There's no more grip. And because the car has no paddles, when you are going for it in dynamic mode, it just hangs on to the revs for too long. I like to short shift and keep the balance in the car. This will just take it to the red line in every gear, and you can't override it. So those are the 4 things, I'm going to put it back into comfort, that I really don't like about this car. Apologies, I'm filming this on my iPhone, but I have to correct myself here, because I've driven up to Glasgow and I found out that you can change gear manually. Woohoo! And it makes it so much better. So all we have to do is follow it down through drive, and there's a manual button. Crikey, why didn't I realise that? Now, to change the gear, there are no paddles, as we said before, but come down to the nice little crystal maze here, push it to the right, and it goes up a gear. We've gone up to second, and push it to the left, and it goes down a gear. We're back down into first. That is not the most natural way of doing it, but I've had a little play with it as I've come up to Glasgow, and I think with a bit of getting used to, it would be all right. So next time we have the car, we'll have to go through that a little bit more and try it with dynamic mode, and that might make me eat humble pie. We better find 4 things to balance this that we like about the car. That's pretty easy, to be honest. There's plenty. Number 1, the infotainment. Despite what I was moaning about with the heating controls, the rest of it is absolutely fantastic. I love the dials. This is probably the best system I've come across in any car, and I'm not particularly tech savvy, as many people will tell you, and I can make it work immediately. Number two is just the amount of equipment in this car as well. Okay, this is an Inscription Pro, I'm struggling with my words here, so it's top of the range, but it has got everything, absolutely everything in here. 360 cameras, even the panoramic roof, which is a lovely touch. The performance, leave it in comfort mode for God's sake, but this car's got a turn of pace. It's a 1.5 turbo petrol up front with around about 180 horsepower in a vehicle that only weighs 1,400 kilos. So you'll be surprised when you put your foot down in this thing, it moves. And then the fourth one, just to keep it balanced, it is a phenomenal place to sit in this car. It's beautiful to look out on the outside, it's beautiful to look out on the inside. The seating position is first class, you can see everything. It's so comfy and it's so high quality. I mean, look at it, this is 3 years old, this car, and the materials are just so premium. It's like it's brand new. Yeah, you're not being shortchanged in this car. And I mean, I'm going over a crap bit of road now. I've been trying all week to try and find a rattle out of this car. Not a thing. It's perfectly built. Fair play, Volvo. Let's start our outside look from the front here, because I think this is the car's best angle. I love the Thor headlights that Volvos have. Obviously, we've corrected the paintwork on this car over the last little while, so it's looking almost immaculate. I think there's maybe one stone chip on the whole car now. But yeah, it looks good. This is, I think I mentioned as we were driving down, Inscription Pro. So if you went for the R design, you get fancier looking wheels with chewing gum around the tires. These are smaller wheels, only 19s as opposed to the 20s, but you've got some sidewall. This is more, the Inscription Pro is more for comfort, I think. It's actually a higher spec car than an R design, but you pays your money, you take your choice. Just wandering around, the plastics haven't been damaged in any way, shape or form, and I think it's just a nice looking car. It's well proportioned, a good size, and yeah, just a good looking bit of kit all in all, isn't it? I mean, you'd be quite happy with one of those, and I do love the colour. This is what you're greeted with as the interior. Beautiful leather seats, which we've treated actually whilst the car's been here, and they've come up really nicely. Lovely cockpit, great place to be. Do love the crystal gear lever there, that's quite a nice touch as well. And again, like the outside, really struggling to find any obvious wear and tear on the car. The back's more or less exactly the same. Beautiful seats, and there's the lovely panoramic roof. I do like that. Coming round the back here, we'll just open up the boot quickly if I can find the button. There we go. Just be mindful that it's got quite a high sill, this car, so dog's not so keen on this one. And reasonable sized boot with a ski hatch, which is good, and there's even some storage I noticed under the floor, which is quite handy as well. This car has a full-size spare wheel, which is good too. So just really what you need from a medium size SUV. Let's jump back in it, go and find some roads. This is it then. We should be a bit stiffer, we should be a bit more compliant at cornering here with this one. So we're attacking this corner, braking nicely because this one's off camber. Turn the car in. It's not quite as leany, the suspension feels like it's a little bit stiffer. Handled that bump nicely. Again, on the brakes are excellent, the brakes are absolutely excellent, and I'm getting good feedback through the wheel. I'm able to place the car really well. I'm not having to saw at the wheel at all. Again, it keeps holding on to revs too high. Get it turned in here, get on the throttle. I just shifted, upshifted there, so back into comfort mode. We're going to try some nice corners here. I think this is going to be the best way to drive this car. These are quite nice, so we'll get a good taster. Beautiful road surface. Bit of left, bit of right, bit of low speed, bit of high speed. First one gets turned in nicely. Yeah, the car feels nice, it really does. It feels nice, and you can just manage the throttle. It's not wanting to kick down on the brakes. The brakes in this car are really nice. Same again, and we can just manage the throttle. It's not wanting to kick down, so we're not getting spikes of revs or anything like that. Let the car drift out. It's shifted at 4,500 revs there, which was nice. It kept the car very balanced. Turn it in here. Lovely, love, so much better. And I don't think we'd be going any faster or slower if we were using manic mode. Heavy brake here. Likes you to get off the brakes before the apex and then back onto the throttle nice and sharp. Car coming, so we can't go too mad around this one. I'll just take it steady round here. This is like a double left, so you turn in and then you turn in again, let the car drift out, punch the floor. Ah, yes, yes, yes. Whatever you do with this car, buy one, it's great, but leave it in comfort mode. Well, I have to hand this car back tomorrow, so let's summarize it. It's been great to revisit this car. I mean, these XC40s really, Volvo really did nail these. 3 years old, and I don't think much has changed on these cars in that time period. I mean, they've not needed to. They've just got it right from the get-go. They've just been tinkering. I mean, this is coming from somebody I ran an Evoque for a number of years, loved that car, but this is a better car than the Evoque, no bones about it. I would say in the medium side, this is going to be hard to beat, particularly at its price point. I know the prices of these have crept up, but I mean, it's still immaculate. I mean, listen to how quiet it is. We've even got the roof open and it's silent. So yes, always pleased to have this car come back to the channel. Hopefully we'll see it again soon. If you've enjoyed this catch up with it, then please give us a like, and if you could subscribe below, because we'll keep in touch with this and others. I shall see you again very soon. Thanks very much for watching. Goodbye. This is a beautiful car to drive. This is a beautiful car to drive.